Welcome back, everyone, to the Holocron Radio podcast. I'm your host, Grandmaster Jordan. I apologize for this week. I know a lot of people are usually privy to that, to the newer episode. I did not put out any promotions this week. I have been dealing with a summer cold and just now recovering a little bit from it. So, um, yeah, that's basically why I haven't put anything promotional out or anything like that. Like, actually, this video, as of now, is being recorded uh, a couple hours before release. So, cutting it kind of close here, cutting it kind of close. But still want to thank everybody for the continued support. I am feeling a lot better, and we will have episode 7 promos next week. So, anyways, um, this episode is dedicated to Diana and her daughter Anastasia. I want to thank them for listening to Holocron Radio. Diana is introducing Anastasia to Star Wars canon and legends, and they found my podcast. So Diana reached out to me and told me they watched the podcast together, Holocron Radio, and that Anastasia's favorite character is Anakin Skywalker. I'm actually going to read you guys the message she sent me. It really uh, it really makes the grind a lot more worth it when I have these type of reactions and everything. So let me pull up the message really quickly. Here we go. So she said, Diana says, "Hi, fellow Star Wars fan here, especially of the expanded universe. I found your Holocron Radio podcast and have watched them with my 9-year-old daughter, who is getting into Star Wars. She likes hearing and seeing things about both Disney and the expanded universe. Your podcast helps me explain some of the stories from the expanding universe that I've told her, as well as some of the things I don't know much about, such as the video games and the comics. Her favorite Jedi is Anakin Skywalker, and she would absolutely love it if you highlighted him in one of your next podcasts. Thank you, and please keep up the podcast. We definitely enjoying them." First and foremost, Diana, thank you, Anastasia. um, I'm very proud of her pick. This is a great pick, and because of this, this week, this episode for episode 6, the Jedi Fact of the Week and the Jedi of the Week as well will be dedicated to Anastasia's pick. So, again, dedication episode. So, let's move into our Star Wars Fact of the Week about Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, was knighted without a trial. Typically, a Padawan must pass the Jedi trials to become a knight. However, due to the Clone Wars chaos and his immense bravery, including his duel with the Saj Ventress on Yavin 4, the Council ultimately skipped his formal test. Anakin was knighted purely based on his battlefield heroics, which was a rarity in the history of the Jedi Order. You guys got to understand, Anakin Skywalker's a legendary warrior. When we talk about Star Wars and we talk about Jedi, his name comes up. It comes up. If anybody has watched the Clone Wars animation that came out like right after Attack of the Clones in 2003, it shows like they were like 15-minute cuts. It was basically like Robot Chicken for Star Wars, but it was awesome. Like there's a reason why they decanonized that Clone Wars section, because those guys were on straight demon time. Like, these clones did not care about nothing, and the Jedi were just as bad. I mean, and Anakin Skywalker was a demon. Like, we thought he was a demon in regular Clone Wars. No, you guys got to go watch 2003 Clone Wars. But this is where we got to see, basically, like, the Jedi Council were like, we're at war. We need to figure out, like, we need new knights. Like, what's that looking like? And Obi-Wan was like, well, Anakin's ready. Like, Anakin's already went through a couple of the trials already. And, every trial he faced, he's done everything he could, especially like the trial of flesh is a big one, losing a piece of his flesh to Count Dooku in their dueling Attack of the Clones. I mean, what else could you ask for? And so in the show, in the show, they knighted him. The only person that wasn't there from the Jedi Council, because I still got to do research on it. I've never really knew how the knighted part is. That's one of the things I wish, like, I've done more research in. Like, I know a lot about the Jedi, just that's one practice I never knew. But apparently, like, Mace Windu didn't come to his trial to be knighted into becoming Jedi Knight, but that's a whole different situation we'll get into so much later. But whatever the case may be. So yeah, I mean, that is literally, I mean, that's dope. It's Anakin Skywalker. So that is our Star Wars fact of the week. We are going to jump into our main topic, though. I've been excited to talk about this topic and everything. It's been heavy on my mind about it. So here we are about it. Today's episode is the rise and fall of the New Republic. We're going to look at how the New Republic rose from the ashes of the Empire on both sides of Disney canon and expanded universe legends. So we're going to look at, their rise, how they fell, and the similarities, the differences, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to look at all of that. So we're going to start with the simulators between the New Republic of canon and legends. They formed after the Battle of Endor. So the Rebel Alliance the Rebel Alliance transformed into the New Republic. They restored democracy after the fall of the Galactic Empire, and they reestablished the Galactic Senate. So all good things here, because the Empire basically got rid of all of that as Palpatine was rising power. So there's that. They promised freedom instead of Imperial rule. We like freedom. And they both supported Luke Skywalker's efforts to rebuild the Jedi Order. And then they faced the Imperial remnants after Palpatine's death. So, really quickly, a lot of things happened after Palpatine's death, and it's not really morally cited into it's looked upon, but like in the Disney canon, we see that the Imperial Remnants is made up of like a shadow council of like all these different moths and whatever coming together to basically hold the Empire together. That didn't happen in Legends. Legends was basically a free-for-all. Like, who's going to take control of the Empire type of thing. So it's big differences coming up, and we're about to dive into it. But I just wanted to point that out, like how the Disney canon kind of kept like the Empire organized in a way. Like if you watch like the shows and stuff, and like the lead up to like the First Order and everything, and if you've read like the newer books, you'll see like that Shadow Council kept pretty much things in check. But if you read the comics or read the Legends books and stuff, yeah, the Empire was not it was not a pretty picture for anybody that wanted to have some type of control there. So we're gonna step into the canon New Republic strengths. Their strengths. They won the Battle of Jakku and officially ended the Galactic Civil War. So the final battle of the Galactic Civil War was at Jakku in the in the Disney canon. So when we start The Force Unleashed and we go to Jakku, we see, the crash ships and stuff like that. We always, like, a lot of people are like, what's going on? What happened here? So we finally know there was a very last battle there. They signed the Galactic Concordance and restored freedom to thousands of systems. They demilitarized to avoid becoming another empire, and focused on diplomacy and local planetary autonomy. So a less centralized government basically is what the Disney canon became. Excuse me. So let's look at those weaknesses. Reduced its military too quickly. So like it was literally like I want to say, if I remember correctly, it's like a year or two after the war they start like, all right, military's done. Like, we're just gonna need a security force type of thing. It was horrible on that part. Ignored the growing threat of the First Order and failed to act on Leia Organa's warning. So Leia, Princess Leia, she's out here. She knows what's going on, and like she knows, basically, she knows what's about to happen. She knows that the First Order, the Imperial Remnant, they're rising. And no one's taking heed to this. No one is taking heed to these warnings, especially on the political front. And that's where the political infighting between the centrist and the what was it? The populist, whatever freak you want to call them. Slow decision making. So a lot of decision making was slowed down. We really see it. If you guys watch Ahsoka and you see Hera talking about like, hey, the Empire's still out there, blah blah. And you saw that guy was just like, I don't believe it. We need evidence, or there's no evidence. It's kind of like that. That was basically what was going on. And the overall government believed another galactic war was unlikely. This allowed the First Order to secretly build its military. So basically, the Empire, or the Imperials, restructure into this mighty force. Like literally looking at the political landscape of things, we literally saw basically a defeated enemy from a war become a military juggernaut over a course of years because the weak political nature of this particular New Republic. So that's what we saw here. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Like if you're a history person, I am, you'll understand that. But whatever. What led to their downfall? So the downfall of the Canon New Republic was Starkiller Base destroyed the Hosnian system, and that's where Hosnian Prime was, which was where the New Republic Senate was completely wiped out. So Starkiller Base in Force unleashes a beam that doesn't just destroy a planet, it destroys multiple planets, multiple worlds are gone. So now you just wiped out the entire Senate. Most of the Republic fleet was destroyed. The government leadership was eliminated in a single attack. And Leia Organa and the resistance that she could scrounge up was all but left to fight the First Order on its own. And the New Republic effectively collapses overnight after this attack. Now, we have to look at it from this perspective too. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to ruin that part. I'll get to that in a second. Let's look at the Legends of the Republic. We're gonna double back on what I want to say here a little bit. So we're gonna look at the Legends of the Republic. We're gonna look at their strengths. So in the Legends, the New Republic liberated one of their first things, like after a series of battles, they went to go liberate Coruscant from the Imperial control. They defeated numerous Imperial warlords. So like I said, it was a free-for-all at that point. Then they survived the Thrawn Campaign, like the Thrawn trilogy, some of the greatest books ever written by Star Wars. Thrawn was a menace, and defeating him really helped. They defeated the reborn Emperor Palpatine. It's more of a Leia thing, but whatever the case may be. Worked alongside Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order, maintained a strong military for decades, and helped restore peace across much of the galaxy. Now, here's where their weaknesses come in. Political disagreements, slow decision making. It's always some type of decision making that always slows progress, right? Bureaucracy often delayed military action, and they underestimated the Yuuzhan Vong during the early days of the initial invasion. They struggled to unite the galaxy against this unfamiliar enemy. And so, which leads into the downfall part of it. Their downfall comes in as the Yuuzhan Vong invaded from outside of the galaxy. So no one knew what it was. No one knew who they were. And the New Republic fought a years long war until eventually Coruscant falls to the Yuuzhan Vong, who terraforms the planet. Crazy. The government became unable to effectively govern the galaxy. So rather than collapsing instantly, it gradually dissolved under the pressure of the war. So a lot of these weaker senators and whatnot, the pressure was getting to them. Now, the New Republic does officially end during the Yuuzhan Vong War. But what comes next is the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances, which replaces the New Republic. This government took the surviving member worlds and that united under a stronger central government. Now remember, a centralized government is more central, and a standard government, it wasn't willy-nilly with it. Luke Skywalker's New Jedi Order continued serving the Galactic Alliance, and together they ultimately defeated the Yuuzhan Vong and restored stability across the universe. So yeah, that's basically the fall. Now, we got to look at some other things here too. So let's look at the military between canon and legends. So in canon, they demilitarize, like I said, within like a year or two after the Battle of Endor, or after Jakku, they demilitarize. They relied heavily on diplomacy, and they were unprepared for another major war, which is why the First Order struck so hard like they did. In Legends, they maintained a capable military. They continued modernizing after every conflict because, trust me, there was a lot of conflict between the years of the Battle of Endor till Fate of the Jedi series, or even Crucible. There was a lot. So they just kept getting better with it. It was like, we learn. So they were better prepared for the future threats that came and got prepared for the next threats, whatever the case may be. Now, this is where I wanted to bounce on when I come to the Jedi. So in canon, Luke's Jedi Order was destroyed. There was no organized Jedi Order that remained to defend the New Republic. And that's the difference here. Like, mind you, the reason why the Republic was so successful in the Clone Wars was because they had a Jedi Order. This is the reason why the Empire was so successful, especially in canon, is because they had the Inquisitors and Darth Vader. People with lightsabers makes a difference, people. That's all I'm saying. So, you go to the Legends, Luke was able to rebuild the thriving new Jedi Order. This Jedi Order actively defended the Republic and the Galactic Alliance, and he worked alongside the government while remaining independent from it. So all worked out. It kind of worked out on the part. Well, yeah, that's another story for another day. The leadership in canon, political division weakened the Senate. Here we go. Ignored the repeated warnings of the Imperial Remnant. There we go. Failed to recognize the First Order as a serious threat, and that's why they fell right there, people. Now, in Legends, they had a lot of experienced leadership, especially from the Rebel Alliance, that guided the Republic through multiple crises, continued adapting after every major conflict, and worked closely with the Jedi in the military. So, there's a lot of strength here. My final verdict about the New Republics, if we look at canon, they have really great ideals. Don't get me wrong, freedom for everyone, whatever the case, but very poor preparation. They were not prepared for anything that came after, and they failed to learn from the Empire's and the Old Republic's mistakes. So, if you couldn't learn from that, no wonder you failed. And then they were destroyed in a single devastating attack. So, like, one Starkiller base wiped out the New Republic, it was over. That's basically where it was. Where the Legends differ, and my final result for the Legends New Republic, is they faced far greater enemies. Like, there was, like, the three biggest enemies the New Republic really faced, like, right after, right after Endor, you face the Thrawn trilogy, which is Thrawn. You face Emperor Palpatine again, and then the Yuuzhan Vong. Like, these are heavy hitter, enemies. Like, these are some very heavy hitters. They survived decades of chaos and conflict. They ultimately failed during the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, but they left behind a stronger successor government in the Galactic Alliance. And that continued fighting for the Republic's ideals even after its dissolution. So it all works out all relatively nicely, right? Like, that's just how we want it to. My closing thoughts to this is that both versions of the New Republic ultimately failed The difference lies in how they failed, though. Canon's New Republic collapsed because it ignored growing threats and left itself vulnerable to the First Order and their Imperial remnant. The Legends New Republic fell after enduring one of the most devastating wars in galactic history. But the people adapted, the leadership adapted, the Jedi adapted, reorganized, and they created the Galactic Alliance to continue the fight. So if the goal was to preserve the notion or ideals of the Rebel Alliance or the Galactic the Galactic Republic, whatever the case may be, the Legends timeline showed that even when a government falls, its principles can survive through those willing to rebuild. And I really like the New Republic, but I also like the Galactic Alliance because the Galactic Alliance was basically there waiting to basically be like, we have to take control and be more together in order to defeat this enemy in which we've never seen before. And if it wasn't for that case, I mean, near collapse, because if you look at canon right now, I mean, after the Rise of Skywalker, where does that leave the government right now? The First Order is defeated, but like, where does that leave like everything else? So like, that's kind of like the question they kind of got to ask themselves, where they go from here. And the same thing, I mean, here we like, at least we know what's the end game is like for Legends, but still, you know, it's still it was still a big thing here. But my overall point is, like, at the end of the day, the New Republic, either way it goes, they failed. But at least with Legends, they had a backup plan, a failsafe, just in case, and they were able to continue on. Canon has not shown that they're going to continue on, so we don't know where that story is right now, but we can only assume, correct? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Anyways, moving on to our Jedi of the Week, Anakin Skywalker. This one's for you, Anastasia. So, Anakin Skywalker was born on Tatooine. Unfortunately, born into slavery. He was a Watto slave, whatever the case may be. Yeah. He was born by the will of the Force, but some legends and some canon now materials, whether it be a novel or comic books, whatever the case may be, suggests that Darth Plagueis' experiments with the Force may have contributed to his creation, though this kind of still remains debated or whatever. So he was discovered by Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn at the age of 9, and during the events of Phantom Menace, he was able to pod race and win his freedom, leave with Qui-Gon Jinn. He was able to, what's it called? He was able to go into training with Qui-Gon. I'm trying to remember how the Phantom Menace goes. I gotta remember like the sequel. Okay. Now I remember. Okay. Phantom Menace goes. He goes to the Jedi Temple. They deny him at first. Qui-Gon's like, well, I might have to train you myself. He dies, unfortunately, to Darth Maul during the Battle of Naboo. And the Jedi were like, fine, we'll train you, basically. After Obi-Wan was like, I'll leave and do what my master tells me to. Great things. So Anakin Skywalker becomes a Jedi under Obi-Wan Kenobi after Qui-Gon's death. Now let's fast forward to basically Attack of the Clones. And so we go through Attack of the Clones, and, you know, he's all grown up now a little bit, and he is struggling. He's been struggling as a Jedi, but with the Clone Wars taking off, he becomes one of the greatest Jedi Knights of his generation. He's widely regarded as one of the Order's finest pilots. He's he's an exceptional lightsaber duelist, master of Form 5. He's a gifted mechanic and engineer. Fun fact, he built C-3PO from scrap. He fought on the front lines throughout the Clone Wars, and his nickname was the hero with no fear. Definitely a cool dude. Let's look at some of his relationships. Obviously, everyone should know that he married his childhood love, Padme Amidala, in secret, right before the start of the Clone Wars, right after basically the end of Attack of the Clones. He was a master to Ahsoka Tano, and his closest companions included Obi-Wan Kenobi, Captain Rex, and R2-D2. He was commander of the legendary 501st Legion. He was deeply respected by a few Jedi, but the two Jedi that I know for a fact is Plo Koon and Alaya Sakura. He's often felt mistrusted and misunderstood by many members of the Jedi, including a lot of the Jedi Council. Mace Windu, I'm talking to you. His fall comes when he's manipulated by Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, who's been manipulating the war, both in spades, but that's a whole different situation, right? He's believed he could save Padme by joining the dark side, so his nightmares about Padme dying in childbirth, unfortunately, leads him down this road. He becomes Darth Vader after basically this is why the story is tragic to me. I love Anakin Skywalker's story, but it's tragic to me because Anakin is the key to the end of the Jedi. Anakin turning to the dark side, we see him after Mace Windu's death due to Palpatine. We see him become Darth Vader, and then he leads Operation Nightfall against the Jedi Temple. His fall leads to Order 66 and the Galactic Empire's rise. Basically, the fall of the Jedi and then the rise of the Galactic Empire, all within the realm of him becoming Darth Vader. And during this time, he also goes and he eliminates the separatist leadership. So the separatist just gets wiped out completely. So then, Obi-Wan Kenobi and his master Yoda splits up. Yoda goes confronts Emperor Palpatine. Obi-Wan goes to confront his old student. Of course, we know how this goes. Anakin Skywalker is filled with so much rage. He inadvertently is killing Padme. And despite all of this, I have to say this. One of the greatest duels of Star Wars history takes place on Mustafar. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker. This duel has it all. Passion, love, violence. It's lightsaber battle. These guys put their heart and soul into this battle. Shout out to Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. You guys, oh my gosh, if I ever get to see you guys or meet you guys put on one hell of a show for me back in 2005. Anyways, back to the situation at hand. Obi-Wan defeats Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, and this setback causes him to suffer major burns and injuries, and he was rebuilt into the cybernetic Sith Lord Darth Vader. Now, really quickly, before I continue, I want to run through something really quickly. Each story of the rise of Darth Vader gave us a glimpse of who he was going to be in some type of capacity. And if you look at each villain, like each main villain in each story, look at Darth Maul. Darth Maul was the Sith apprentice. Count Dooku, the fallen Jedi. Grievous, the machine. What does Anakin Skywalker become at the end of Revenge of the Sith? He unfortunately becomes all three of them. He becomes a cybernetic fallen Jedi Sith apprentice. So I love the foreshadowing in each movie. Like, no matter how you look at it, that is great foreshadowing. But his legacy is also very interesting. He's the father of Luke and Leia Skywalker. He's the grandfather of Ben Solo in canon. But in Legends, he is the grandfather to Ben Skywalker, Jaina Solo, Jacen Solo, Anakin Solo, and he's the great grandfather to Alana Solo, which is Jacen Solo's daughter. He inspired future generations of Jedi through both his triumphs and his failures. His overall redemption is probably one of the best redemption arcs in fiction of all time. Like, I would say Anakin Skywalker's redemption to the light side is top 5 redemption arcs for any fictional character. He refused to let the Emperor Palpatine kill Luke. He turned against his Sith master and kills Palpatine and fulfills his final act of his redemption. He returns to the light side of the Force, and I think this is one of the reason why Anakin Skywalker is one of the most compelling Jedi and one of the most compelling characters in Star Wars is because we all know the thing. We all know George Lucas says he is the chosen one. He's supposed to bring balance to the Force. Another conversation we'll have later on, and that's long. But anyways, Anakin Skywalker was the golden standard for what a Jedi should be, but also what a Jedi. I think, to me, Anakin Skywalker's failure as a Jedi was attributed to the failings of the Jedi Order itself of that time. I will always tell anybody that the greatest Jedi Order from Star Wars is the new Jedi Order. Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order is the Jedi Order that mostly appeals to me. Because the Jedi that Anakin Skywalker had to deal with were emotionless tools of the Senate. And with that being said, he is an emotional being already. He loves, he cares, he wants to make sure his friends is okay. And we see this throughout the series of the Clone Wars from 2008. We see the seeds that everyone's like, well, this leads to the dark side, but they're really just human emotions. Anger, love, sadness, depression, happiness. These are base human emotions. Like, when the Jedi basically gave up on Ahsoka Tano on the word of the Senate, out of all places, and then we see them like, well, Ahsoka, you can come back. This is your biggest trial and all that, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no. I think, to me, that really broke Anakin Skywalker because not only is he having to say goodbye to Ahsoka, his apprentice, he has to let her go, which is basically the lesson that Yoda wanted him to learn when he brought her, but that's a different situation. But I think we really get a glimpse of, like, the Jedi really have some. The Jedi have no emotion, and that's the problem. We can't go and be emotionless throughout this whole. And the conflict really showed the cracks. The Clone Wars showed the cracks in the foundation of the Jedi, realistically, and Emperor Palpatine was able to exploit that, and that's why Anakin Skywalker is a tragic figure. His fall changed galactic history forever. But I have to say, for Anakin Skywalker also reminds us that no one is beyond redemption if they choose to return to the light. That is his legacy. He is one of the greatest Jedi of all time. He's one of the greatest Sith Lords of all time. But when it comes to Anakin Skywalker, redemption will always be possible. And he showed us that. So, Anakin Skywalker is our Jedi of the week. Guys, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone that has either watched since episode 1 or just joining me now at episode 6. We're 6 episodes in, so it's been 6 Fridays since I've started this. And as I grow with the channel, the more material comes with this. And I love what I do. I truly do. I love talking about Star Wars. I could talk about Star Wars like all day. I could write a book on Star Wars. I mean, I am, but that's what it's, I'm just saying. But again, just thank you guys. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you guys for riding with me. Thank you, Diana and Anastasia. You guys, great fans. I appreciate you. Your message to me really motivated me to make sure that I produce good content, better content, and I get better, and I will get better at this. I promise. Anastasia, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed Anakin Skywalker being the spotlight just for you. This episode was dedicated to you both. As a small token of my gratitude and appreciation, I'm honored to say that both Diana and Anastasia will be recognized in my upcoming Star Wars fan fiction universe. So, I know I've told you guys that I've been working on my Star Wars fan fiction and everything like that. I finally figured out like the series titles. So like I have 3 series I'm working on. Basically, they're going to be my, if you read the expanding universe, there's the New Jedi Order. There is the Legacy of the Force. Excuse me. And then there is the Fate of the Jedi series. My 3 series are going to be multi-books, but the 3 series I'm working on is called Jedi Rebirth, Force Ascendant, and Legacy of Balance. Those are my 3 book series that I'm working on. So brainstorming has been doing well. I'm actually looking forward to wrapping up basically how Jedi Rebirth is going to end, and I'm actually going to start working on book 1. So that should be out pretty soon on that part. So yeah. But thank you all. No matter if, like I said, no matter if you've watched from day one or if you're watching now, thank you all. This community, no matter if you like canon, if you like legends, no matter if you like the Jedi, the Sith, no matter what you love in Star Wars, this community is for everyone. My community of Holocron Radio is for Star Wars fans. It's not for one set of Star Wars fans over the other. Everyone is welcome. Everyone can throw me recommendations for whatever they want to see on my channel, whatever they want me to describe, to explain, whatever you guys want. I'm here for it. I'm always here for you guys because you guys are here for me, and I will continue to getting better and striving to getting better. So again, thank you. Please follow me. I'm on Spotify, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Apple Music for the podcast. If you want to see the clips, whatever, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Whatever you guys need, I will send it to you guys if you need my information. I'm everywhere. Holocron Radio, I want it to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Star Wars podcast of all time. Like that's my goal. But for now, thank you guys again. Next week we are going to be talking about the true chosen one. I know we just got done with Anakin Skywalker. Who else could be this chosen one? We're gonna discuss my little. It's not a theory, but it is kind of like my own little headcanon type of thing. So bear with me on that part. But until next time, I'm Grandmaster Jordan, and may the Force be with you always.